Hi, I'm Russell Stannard from Teacher Training Videos, and National Geographic Learning have asked me to look at their digital platforms and their digital tools and talk about the ways that we can use them in delivering online learning. Now, in the first video I mentioned how important it is that the students know about their eBooks. When the students work in groups, they're going to be sharing content from their eBooks, so they need to know where to find the videos, where to find all the audio files, where to find the pictures, how to navigate through their eBooks so that they can work on them together in groups. However, there's one other thing that students need to know, and that is how to screen share. When students are working in breakout rooms, they will be screen sharing, not the teacher, and so the students need to know how to screen share, and that's probably going to mean how to screen share their ebooks, but possibly how to screen share content from the internet or perhaps videos from YouTube, etc. So we're going to focus on ideas to help the students learn to screen share, and particularly very important is how to screen share the interactive whiteboard. Now, one thing we haven't focused on is a couple of settings that we actually need to set before we even open up the Zoom sessions. And one of these is very important if we want the students to be able to share their interactive whiteboards. So when you're on the Zoom homepage, not actually logged into Zoom, come down to your settings, and there's a couple of important settings that we want to find. All we need to do is scroll down this rather long list, and the first setting that's going to be absolutely vital is in the section called Basic. And if we scroll down a little bit further, you'll find that you've got a button that allows you to give the students access to interactive whiteboards. That means that when the students move into breakout rooms, they will have an interactive whiteboard that they can access. If this button's turned off, then only the teacher has access to an interactive whiteboard when screen sharing. And another important button, if we scroll down even further and come to the advanced section, is to of course make sure that we've activated the breakout rooms. If we don't activate the breakout rooms, the breakout room button won't be there. So let's take a scenario. We've played a video to the students as the whole class, and we've asked them to take some notes. We've now decided that we want to put them into breakout rooms, and we want them to see how much of the video they understood. The students who are in breakout rooms, one student will need to screen share so that all the students will be able to see their screen, and they can choose interactive whiteboard because remember, we've activated the interactive whiteboards for the students. So that student screen shares, and now all of the students in that group will be able to see the interactive whiteboard. Now, one of the students, that's probably going to be the student who's screen sharing, can click on the text and can keep notes. The students can be discussing things together. Of course, they're working in the breakout rooms. They have access to the audio. And one of the students can be simply writing down and taking notes on all the points that that particular group brought up. So it's a great tool when students are doing collaborative activities, particularly if we've asked them to do an activity before and now as a group we want them to share their ideas, share their opinions, or discuss what they've listened to or what they've watched. So it's actually really important that the students know how to use the interactive whiteboard and how they can at any time click on the whiteboard tools and open up and make use of these tools to take notes. It's normally the student that has screen shared that's going to be taking the notes. The obvious thing is for them to do it because they will have immediate access to the interactive whiteboard and be able to write on the screen. So let's imagine that this student is in group A, and this student has been taking the notes for all of the things that their particular group has been discussing. At the end, when the teacher calls them back from the breakout rooms, they will be back in the class, and then if the teacher said, okay, group A, what did you discuss? That student can now open up their whiteboard again and share it with the whole class now. So don't forget that when an individual student is writing on their interactive whiteboard, they can come back and open that interactive whiteboard and share their content with the whole class. A nice technology to show the students that could be interesting in terms of them learning to screen share is to introduce them to Google Earth. We can start by doing an activity. Now the reason I like Google Earth is it links so well to the type of content that you find in the National Geographic books. So for example, Unit 7 of Pathways 2 is called Our Active Earth, and obviously it deals with phenomenon like volcanoes, and we could use Google Earth to go off and visit a volcano. So what we can do is screen share and go off to Google Earth, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for a particular volcano. I'm going to click here and I'm going to click on Volcano Island. I can just search for it, but I've actually searched just a moment ago, and so I can see that it's actually here in my search. I'm just going to click and off we go to Volcano Island. So we could screen share this to the students and take them off to see Volcano Island. This really links well with the course book, and then perhaps we might provide them with some information about Volcano Island. So we might say that this is the second most active volcano in the Philippines. It's about 50 miles from the capital, Manila. It's part of the Pacific Ring of what they call the Ring of Fire, and so far there's been 37 recorded eruptions. So we take the students on a little presentation. We can even move around and we can zoom in, look at it more carefully, and we can see it from a 2D view or a 3D view. So a really great way of bringing the world to the students and linking it to activities in the course book. And now what we could do is see how much of the presentation the students remembered. So we can move up to the top here and do a new share and jump over to the interactive whiteboard, and perhaps in the interactive whiteboard we might write a few keywords like 37 and let's say 50 miles, and let's write another one, let's say second, let's just click here, second most active, and we might click here as well and write, for example, Ring of Fire. So we use these keywords and we see now if the students can recall any of the information from the presentation. And for example, there have been 37 recorded eruptions. Volcano Island is 50 miles from Manila, the capital. It's the second most active volcano in the Philippines. So the students have to reproduce sentences. Now what they could do for homework is we could tell them, look through the ebook, choose a topic and choose a related place that you would like to present to the rest of the class. So the students could prepare a small presentation at home, and then in the class they could screen share, they could open up Google Earth and they could present it to the rest of the class. Now you might do that activity first of all as a class-based activity, and then after get the students to do the same activity perhaps in breakout rooms. So hopefully now the students know how to screen share, they know how to screen share the ebook, they know how to screen share the internet, they know how to screen share the interactive whiteboard. Let's have a quick look at the types of activities that they could now do when they're working in their breakout rooms. So let's take a little look at some of the content that is available to the students in their ebooks. When we come to the content page, we can see here we've got all the list of the contents on the left hand side. We can jump to a particular unit. Let's start with perhaps Let's Eat. We click here and then we've got the whole book page by page broken down with the various activities. Let's just have a little look at some of these activities. We'll start, for example, with this listening. So for example, in this listening here, if we click here, you'll notice it says play video. So if we click on that button, it's going to open up a video option and we can click and play the video.
Hello everyone. As you know, I'm from South Korea and people from my country love food. So today, I'll be talking about what else? Food. Specifically, I'll be talking about changes in the Korean diet in the 20th century. First, as you might know, South
Okay, so you can easily play video content, and obviously that's very useful for students, both when they're working at home, but also in the classroom situation. This would be the perfect type of activity that we can organize our students into breakout rooms. One of the students in the breakout room shares their screen, plays the video, and then all the students can listen to it. And of course, afterwards, there are related activities. Now, as well as the video option, we've also got an audio option here. So if the students click on this button, it will play the audio only.
Page 106, Exercise B, and page 107, Exercise D. A presentation about the Korean diet.
Hello everyone. As you know, I'm from South Korea, and people from my country love food. So today, I'll be talking about...
So when we're working in breakout rooms, we've always got the option, are we going to get the students to focus on the video, or are we going to simply work with the audio file? If we click on this button here, we're actually going to open up the activity. Again, we've got access to the audio, so we can click here at the top.
Page 106, Exercise B, and page 107, Exercise D. A presentation about the Korean diet.
But what's important here is that we've got these activities now that the students can work on collaboratively, discuss collaboratively, particularly when they're in breakout rooms, put their answers in, and then save and exit. And the nice thing is obviously to be able to move back afterwards to the whole class and discuss the answers that each group puts to questions 1, 2, 3 and 4. You can see the power of the eBook, because it means that the teacher doesn't have to do all the preparation work that allows these collaborative activities to take place. One of the nice things about the eBooks is the way that the content is actually organized, and it's a really good idea to get familiar with that organization, because there are obvious activities that lend themselves to making use of the breakout rooms. The obvious choices, of course, would be anything where there's some type of discussion taking place. So the think and discuss sections at the beginning of each unit are really a nice way to put the students into groups and get them to discuss a certain topic. So if we take an example here, there's always some questions for the students to discuss, and this is an ideal moment to get the students into breakout rooms, discuss these questions, and then bring them back afterwards into the main room and then perhaps discuss them as a question. Remember, if you ever do an activity like this, make sure you contextualize it. You can also make use of the picture to set up the context. Sometimes a nice idea is to take the students off to Google Earth, show them something that's related to the theme of the unit, and then put the students into groups and get them to use the think and discuss section. A really nice way of setting up activities that the students can do in the breakout rooms is to make use of the lesson tasks, because the lesson tasks normally organize the students into groups, get them to prepare something, and then perhaps afterwards to have a discussion. Let's have a look at an example. All the units have a lesson task. If we click on one of the units, let's just click on this one for example, just to point it out, you'll see when you work through the content, it always says lesson task. Now if I just quickly go back, and I'm now going to jump to let's eat. Again, we have a lesson task here. Let's click on that lesson task, and we've got here two groups. It says you're going to participate in a group discussion about vegetarian versus omnivorous diets. So we can have group A, breakout room, preparing arguments for a vegetarian diet, and group B producing arguments for an omnivorous diet. Now what we can do is put them into their breakout rooms, so group A and group B, and then afterwards, once they prepared the work, they can then move back as a class and perhaps have a discussion, perhaps put some things onto the interactive whiteboard, etc. So these lesson tasks that you'll see in every unit of the book are ideal moments to make use of the breakout room. Okay, hope the course has been useful. We've covered a lot of ground. Essentially, the point I've been trying to make is that if we work with the platforms and the eBooks, then we really can save ourselves a lot of time when we're teaching in an online context. But we do need to think about certain skills that we need and certain skills that the students need to be able to deliver effectively when using the platform and when using the ebook. We need to be aware of the settings. We need to be aware of settings like enabling the breakout rooms, enabling the interactive whiteboards, remembering that when we're in a breakout or when we're going to start a breakout room, we need to turn the screen share on for the students. So there are a few settings that we need to think about. And then the other thing is making sure, and I think in many ways this is the most difficult thing actually, making sure the students have got the skills to be able to screen share. And that is screen share the interactive whiteboard software, screen share to access the content in the ebooks, and perhaps even sometimes screen share to visit a website. Now, if the students are going to work with the ebooks, it's really important for the students to be familiar with how the ebooks work, and that's the reason why I suggested that we really do make sure that the students are familiar with the ebook. There's something I do even with a course book. I always do a big questionnaire so that right at the beginning of the course the students understand all of the things that are available to them, and often that can help them with autonomy because it makes them aware of all the different content that's actually available to help them study. Hope the course was useful to you, and thank you very much. And thank you very much to National Geographic Learning.